doing, people? Robert here. I'm going to do this video, and it's directed at the people, or the psycho-conditioned dummies that think it's good to vote. Well, people, it is not good to vote, because you're being deceived and fraud has been committed against the man or woman in a major capacity. Now, people think when they go to vote and they put the cross on the box, the sign of the beast, that their rights are protected. Well, let me reassure the people that I have first-hand knowledge and can verify everything in this video is truth in private capacity. Their rights are not being protected. Their rights are being taken away without them even knowing, and their consent has been given unknowingly to a contract that they're not aware they're creating, where this contract makes it clear you have duties, obligations and responsibilities to a legal system, a legal society, and that's a fact. Now people, I've got a voting card here, my father's. I've got consent from him to use this as an example. If you look at that, people, everything's in boxes. The old capital name, the old capital address is for the person. Now when men and women go to the schools or wherever they go to put the X's, they're giving consent to being a person. Registration to vote is a contract that you're not aware that you're creating. And once you sign your wet signature, sign of nature on that document to register to vote, you lose your inalienable and inherent rights, and you have no rights. It's the same as these forums here, online voting. Again, all in boxes, and they want information. When you sign that document as well, people, or going online, you are creating a fiction, a person. But the biggest majority of people don't know what a person is. And when people challenge the so-called legal system, legal society, and tell the man or woman on a phone or in correspondence, written documents, that they're a man or woman, they're ignored. And the reason for this, people, is because this system has been set up and it's a system of controversy. And the reason you're ignored is because these people in the legal system, legal society, cannot deal with a man or a woman. They can only deal with a corporation, and a corporation is a piece of paper, right? And you're setting this corporation up when you fill in forms like this. You go and put X's in boxes, right? Now people have to get the gist of what's really going on here, because it's diabolical that people are so dumbed down and so ignorant to the fact that they think that people like myself attacking the system don't know what they're doing. Well, let me verify in private capacity under full liability. I do know what I'm doing. And the people that's attacking the system the same way in different routes know what they're doing. And they're right 1,000,000%, whether people like it or not, right? Now, when you fill in forms to register to vote, tick the box and use the polling card to vote, go online and register to vote, and do your vote proxy on the computer. Your name is incorporated, people. You're a corporation. That's a fact. Everything is a corporation. Example, Scottish Parliament, Justice Minister, First Minister, Presiding Officer belong to corporations. And when you, the man or woman, give the consent without knowing what's really going on, you're in their world. And you've lost your rights, as I said earlier in this video. People, they say registering to vote and voting is for democracy. There is no democracy. The men and women have no rights. They're being deceived with people like Boris Johnson, Coburn, Sturgeon, Joe Swinston, and Nigel Farage and Patrick Harvey, 6 examples, because they all work for corporations. Now this can be verified, people, Because the entity, the dead entity, NHS, is registered in Dun and Bradstreet. All local authorities, all over Scotland, England, Ireland and Wales are registered in Dun and Bradstreet. All police forces are registered in Dun and Bradstreet. And the reason for this is because they're all corporations. Now, public servant. Public servant, people think when you have a dispute with somebody in a council building or a police office that you have the right to tell him or her, the man or woman, that they're public servants. Well, the point being is that people don't know what they're actually saying. They are public servants. And the public servants work for the government, not the people. The people's a corporation and they're only puppets on the string with the unelected scumbags above them that pull the strings. The bankers and the corporations. That's why you get nowhere. That's why when you get sheriff officers, police officers, court officers, your procurator fiscals, your judges and the solicitors are all court officers, they're all corporations. Every court administration in Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales are all corporations, and this is a bit you don't get. That's why there is no remedy, because you give these people consent and power over the man or woman that's diminished to the person status. Dead legal entity corporation that has no life. It tells you that clearly on the document known as birth certificate. It's a record of an event, and the people or the persons using it cannot use it for identity, and the reason for that is it is not relevant to the man or the woman, and I verify that in private capacity. It's a fraud, people. Now, democracy. My understanding of democracy is that people have rights and freedoms and have their normal life not to be interfered with unless they commit a crime in law. That's what my understanding is, people. But it does not work that way, because the legal system, the legal society is interfering in every man and woman's life, and you're being treated as a person. All legal documents are fraudulent. When you look at a document, no matter what document it is, the words on it look like English, sound like English, but they're not, as I said in the last two videos. Legalese, Dog Latin and American Sign Language has been used. The words might look and sound the same, but there's hidden meanings, people, and this is the bit you have to get. The same as this voting card and the forums and all the rest of the nonsense registering to vote. There is no law requires a man or woman to vote, people, and that's a fact, and I verify that, again, in private capacity under full personal liability. Now, 3 years ago, there was a thing called the referendum to leave the fictitious dead entity, the EU. And let me verify this in private capacity again, people. EU is a dead fiction that does not have life. Men and women, unelected men and women represent this fiction to cause thoughts of harm against the people. Need it be Scotland, England, Ireland or Wales or all over Europe. These people are making a claim on a power that they don't have. If you were to challenge any man or woman representing these legal systems, legal societies in their private capacity under full liability and challenge them to have what power they have over a man or woman, they would never be able to answer that. Because they don't have power over a man or woman. They only have power over the fiction. Now, people watching this video, please share this and make it viral, right? Because this is important information. And the people that's out there, psycho-conditioned dummies, I call them, or idiots. Idiots isn't a bad word, it just means that the people don't understand. And let me be clear on that. And they don't understand. Now, 17+ million voted to leave the EU 3 years ago. What happened with the democracy? These so-called muppets known as politicians obstructed the people's will and the people's answer to leave. And they done it in a way to stall the process, so they confuse people, deceive people, lie to people, so people would change their mind. And the reason this is happening, people, is because They're all part of the same legal system, legal society. In this so-called entity Europe, these people make rules, regulations and policies and put them down to Westminster, the House of Commons, the Scottish Parliament, Welsh, English and Irish Parliament, right? This is for the legal system, legal society. All these people are all in it together. There's one rule for them, one rule for us, one law for them, one law for us. Every statutory legislation or code has a financial penalty attached to it against the man or woman. Parking tickets, dropping pieces of paper. Where do you get the amount £100 to drop a bit of paper? It's a nonsense, people. Who has that authority? You're not causing any harm. If you pick a bit of paper up and put it in the bin, you have righted the wrong, and there is nothing else you can do about it, and that's a fact. It's like the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, people. People have been dying down there with infections from the ventilation system, with birds, whatever. We've also had a wee girl recently died as well. There's a public investigation going on as far as I know. Right? You've got more chance of living outside the hospital than what you have inside the hospital. And a prime example is, recently I've heard about a female that took a heart attack and she sat in a corridor for 6 hours before she got a bed in Sydney. Right? Now people, the government, this so-called entity known as government, say that they're going to spend billions of pounds here, there and everywhere, right? They're going to end austerity, they're going to build new homes, and they're going to make us flourish. Well, the argument I'm going to use here, people, is what happened to all the decades of Labour, Tories, SNP and everybody, the Lib Dems in coalition with the Tories? Where is all that? Where is all this magical money coming from, people? Now, for them to spend 250 billion here, 150 million there, and all the rest of it, who do you think is going to surplus that fictitious money? The people. And how is that going to happen? Taxes on the person. This is the bit you people have to get the gist of, comprehend and understand. Now, if you look at every statutory legislation here in Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales and beyond, it relates to person. Now, the problem we have right now, people are confused to what they really are. And what doesn't help matters is you have the media, the news, the radio, the newspapers, using the conveyance of fictitious, fraudulent language. What's in these papers and documents and what you're hearing in the language isn't what it's meant, people. It has hidden meanings. Whether these people are aware of that or not, but the biggest majority of them are well aware, because the way people are being trained, like police officers, they're being trained in a language of legalese. The biggest majority of these muppets probably don't even know that. But that's what's happening here, people. And it needs to stop. People have to waken up right now. Thursday is a big day for all the people. And they think by, or believe by voting, you're doing the right thing. I don't vote, people. I've never voted and I will never vote. Because I know the game, I know the system and I know how it works. And that's a fact. If you people, idiots, psycho-conditioned dummies, vote, this is what you're voting for. Rules, regulations and policies to interfere in your life. Rules, regulations and policies to steal your sons and daughters, steal your homes, empty your bank accounts, and whatever else that they seem they want to do, they can do because you've consented by voting and registering to vote. Don't vote, people. It's not what you think it is. Now, example would be if everybody in England, Ireland, Wales and Scotland did not vote here in the lands of what you call the fictitious entity UK, these people would have no power and there's nothing they can do because the Parliament has already been shut down. They cannot form a government without the people's consent. And the reason they require people to vote is because they require consent. And this is the bit that people don't get. When you register to vote and fill in all the Mickey Mouse paperwork, no matter what paperwork it is in the legal system, legal society, you're giving consent and you're losing your rights. You're inalienable and inherent right, and that's a fact, and I verify this in private capacity under full liability. Your public services, there is no public services. They've all been incorporated, they've been stolen based on fraud and deception. People have signed documents to privatise these things. Need it be now, earlier, or before earlier, right? And the people are not aware. The people, yourself, the people, is still paying for these services. You don't get any services because they're making cutbacks and the corporations are controlling what's happening. The councils, the local authorities, and the so-called entity known as government have no money without the people, right? And this is how they get it. They deceive the people into believing that they are persons, not the man or woman. Example would be when you go to your administrative hearing in a public building known as a court building. That's a corporate place of business. The man or woman sitting on that bench with a wig and a robe is just a clerk. The clerk is in charge of the court building, not the man on the bench. He's instructed by the clerk. Court officer working and helping a corporation, and that's a fact. The court administration is a corporation, people. When you stand in the so-called dock, when you're up there for a complaint, a criminal complaint, you're not there. The man or woman on the bench doesn't have to listen to you because your class is a person. And that's a fact, and I verify that, and I have first-hand knowledge. It's time for the people to waken up here and pay attention and stop the rhetoric and nonsense and babble that you have to vote. There is no law requires a man or woman to vote, and that's a fact. Now, people, we the people have the power if the people come together. We the people have the control if the people come together. Now, like example, Nicola Sturgeon in the capacity of First Minister relating to the justice system selects men and women, either procurator, physcos or solicitors, and recommends them to the Lord President, the fiction known as Lord President Calloway, to give him a job. Now, there is no impartiality, and there is no transparency, and there is no independence, and there is no justice, because all these people work for the same legal system, legal society, and people have to pay attention. We've also got people like Nicola Sturgeon sticking a roar in when there's investigations of child abuse. How many judges have had to step down in this hearing to make a decision on about child abuse? It's wrong, people. The legal system, legal society is all about keeping control, hitting you with financial penalties, stealing your property, stealing your sons and daughters, and causing thoughts of harm, and that's a fact. Honest to God, people, do not vote on Thursday. If you have any scruples or common sense and watch this video, I'm telling you the truth. It's a fraud. Do not give these people consent, and do not give these people the ability to control. They're pushing for a cashless society shortly as well, and they're also talking about chipping employees. That cannot happen, people. And when you register to vote, or you vote, you give them the power to do that, because they take control, they ignore you, and they enforce their will on the people. And the people can't have that. They can't have it anymore, people. Change has to come, and it has to come now. And the best part of change would be a good start is do not vote, do not register to vote, and do not give them the power. Take the power away. People moan and groan constantly, Facebook and everywhere else, about this is happening, how can this not happen? The reason being is, people, you're giving them the consent to do what they want to do. You have no power. As soon as you register to vote or vote, you lose consent, and you've created a contract where you have duties, obligations and responsibilities, and that's a fact. This is what I've got to say to the people that's intention is to vote on voting day. I don't agree with what you're doing. I don't care with what you're doing. But what I will say is, people right now are suffering homelessness. There's food banks everywhere. People are losing their sons and daughters. People are losing their homes. And the reason they're doing that is because of these the rules, regulations and policies and the codes that come from Europe. Right? And that's a fact. I know many people that has had these problems, including my own family. The system is corrupt to the core. The politicians is corrupt to the core. There is not an honourable man or woman among them. They're paid liars, the same as the legal system, legal society, to deceive and fraud the people out of their inalienable and inherent rights. And I verify that, people, because I've had it done to myself, and I know many, many, many people that's happened to. And I'm still dealing with people just now to try and help them. Right? These acts are rules, people. They're no laws. For there to be a law, there has to be an injured man or woman. There has to be property damage. There has to be fraud. There has to be a breach of the peace. And there has to be lawful contracts. Now, what's happening is agreements. And they're constituting that as a contract. For a contract to exist, people, as I've told you in previous videos, there has to be full disclosure. For a debt, there has to be a wet signed bill, not a statement, an invoice, a wet signed bill by a man or woman. There has to be equal consideration by both men and women, or women and men, that they agree. And that's a fact, people. Everything in the legal system, legal society, most of the stuff does not come with equal consideration. And what's brought to the table is nothing. Especially with the banks. The banks are all part of this fraud as well, people. That's why there is no remedy. It's only controversy. Please, people, do not register to vote or go online and vote or vote on the day in question, right? I'm asking you, as honourable men and women, to consider what's stated in this video. And I verify everything I've stated in this video, because I've been doing this for 9 years, and I know many people has been doing it a lot longer. We know the game, we know the fraud, we know the controversy and the torts of harm that's been committed against men and women, not persons. And that's a fact, right? Now, people, this is my final message to the people that register to vote and vote on Thursday. You well may not have had any trouble at your door. It's not came to your door yet. But let myself assure the man, the woman, men, women, it is coming to your door at one point. It's just not came yet. And all I'm going to say is, if people vote on Thursday or vote online, when it comes to your door, you lose your property via fraud. You lose your sons and daughters via fraud. You lose your bank accounts and your money's taken out of your account without your consent via fraud. And you caused a tort of harm. What I'm going to say to you people is, as I've said before a couple of minutes ago, I know many, many people right now that's had that happen, including my own family. I have first-hand knowledge and can verify it, how this fraud works. If people go to vote on Thursday, all I can say to you is, when it comes to your door, you lose your son and daughter. When it comes to your door and you lose your home. When it comes to your door and they take money out of your account via fraud. And when it comes to your door and they cause you a tort of harm, all I can say to you people is, you deserve everything you fucking get, because you are so fucking stupid if you go to vote. Because as I've told you in this video, voting is not the answer. You lose control. And it doesn't matter how many times people protest and moan and groan, you created the problem and you created the thoughts of harm against the people because you voted in scammers, criminals, abusers of power and psychopaths that think they can control men and women when they have no fucking power. And I'm sorry for swearing, people, but this nonsense makes my blood boil because of what's happened to my family and other families and piles of other people that I know. It's wrong. So make it right. Do not vote. There is no democracy with these people. Only control. And that's a fact. If you like this information, please subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Rob S. If you don't like this information, I don't give a shit, right? Because it's true what I've stated in this video. And everything in this video I've stated in private capacity. And that's a fact. People that know myself for what I've been doing over the last 9 years know I produced the evidence. I've produced the evidence all the way over the last 9 years how this works. Finally, when you use this card and put the cross on the box, and I verify this, it's the man or woman that puts the cross on the box, make no mistake. But when this thing that you ticked with the cross leaves the polling station, the school or whatever, it is criminally converted to person, a mask, something that doesn't exist. It's the same as this nonsense here when you register to vote online. It's all a fraud, people, and I verify that in private capacity. Anyway, people, don't be offended by this video. It's not meant to cause upset. It's just pointing out and highlighting the facts. And I verify the facts in my video channel all the way through for nearly the last 9 years. Come Christmas it'll be 9 years. Anyway, people, I'm not going to go on anymore. I'm going to leave it at that. You people, please consider what's been mentioned in this video and think about what you're doing on that voting day. If you have common sense, then you'll realise that I am right and the people that don't vote are right. Because if you vote, you're going to get no resolution, people. Anyway, people, take care, be safe, and thank you for watching this video. And please share this video. It's important that people see this to try and help them understand what's really going on. What you think is going on isn't the case. Okay, people, take care, be safe, bye bye.